Hey everybody, Syntax77 here, and today we're going to be checking out a new backpacking gear item. I went to the post office the other day to check my P.O. box.
Mail, mountains of it. It'll be a red letter day when the postman blows mail call.
And surprise, surprise, a package was waiting for me. What could it be? Open this guy up. Let's see. There's several items in here. We got some food items. Mango fire snack mix. A smoothie. Oh, what's underneath here? I mean, food is interesting and all, but what is this? Water filtration system. 0.6 liters. Okay. What I do believe we have here is a very minimal, lightweight water filter. The newest one by Katadyn. They did send me this to check it out. As you can see, I have not even opened this yet. We're going to do that together. In this video, we're going to unbox this. We're going to check it out. We're going to take a first impression of it, look at the specs. Then we're going to leave the comforts of this table, hit the outdoors, test this thing out in a local water source. After that, we'll bring it back to the table for some final thoughts, and we'll have ourselves a little overview and first impressions of this filter. Now, obviously what I can't do in this video is tell you how this filter is going to perform in, say, 6 months or a year. I would imagine the intelligent amongst you can probably surmise that from the fact that it's just coming out of the box today. Unfortunately, my time machine is broken and I can't do that. But actually, speaking of that, many of you are from the future, quite possibly, watching this video at a later date. So for those of you time travelers out there, just check my gear list playlist, or perhaps it's linked in this video, for an update video in the future, or more likely, this will be seen on future full-length backpacking trips. That's the true bread and butter of how gear gets tested on this channel in the long term. It's by showing up on those full-length backpacking videos. Or perhaps if a piece of gear is never actually seen on a full-length backpacking video, then, well, I guess you can gather what you want from that as well. But enough of that. Let's get started taking a look at this baby. Empty box right there. We'll throw that aside for some specs. What do we got here? Warning, do not hold or squeeze easy clean membrane with your hand while opening or closing. Ah, okay, so they're saying when I open this up, not to grip the actual membrane in there, which we're about to see in a minute, but the top, oh yeah, it's kind of firm at the top section here. All right. Instruction booklet, I'll spare you guys that. I'll read this over before I take it out in the field, and we'll discuss that out in the woods. So a quick look at what this system is. It's got a wide mouth flask opening, the easy clean membrane, which we'll look at, free flow channels. What's that all about? Allows faster flow and easier cleaning in the field without the need to backflush. Ah, interesting. 0.6 liter hydrapak flask, longer lasting, rugged, high tech, BPA free for those of you out there wondering. It is BPA free, apparently. Stay clean, drink nozzle. Keep your spigot clean and sanitary. All right, sounds good to me. 3 options to clean. You can shake it, fill the flask with water, and shake to easily clean. You can swish it right in water, and you can backflush it with some tap water or treated water. Now, if you're new to these squeeze or gravity style filters as opposed to a pump, all of that terminology should become clearer as we move along here. Now, after having read that book closer as well, I did notice the weight's not listed on there in the instruction booklet, or the box, at least that I see at first glance. So I will bust out the scale and weigh this as well. Let's just do that real quick right from the gate, because if you're looking at this system, you're probably interested in weight. You're probably the type of person that's looking for a minimalist system for filtering water. So on the actual specs online, I did see that it weighed 2-point-something ounces, I do believe, for the entire system. So let's see how that rings in. I got a scale here. 2 scales, actually. This one's more accurate, but doesn't go up over 4 ounces, so it may or may not be useful to us. Let's see if we can fit it on there. A little balancing act, and we'll get the most accurate reading if I can manage this scale. 55.5 grams, and that would be 1.957 ounces. So just a hair under 2 ounces. Now, of course, once you start actually using this thing, it's going to hold a little bit of water in it. So it'll probably run maybe 2.5 ounces. That's just a guess. But dry brand new weight is 1.95 ounces. And of course, that includes the water vessel, this 0.6 liter bag here, the cap on the top, and the filter inside, which, hey, let's take a look at that thing finally, right? I'm going to hold this top here. And the top ring here, I can feel, is much more solid starting right there than the rest of the bag, so you can really get a nice grip on it. We'll just twist that off and we'll take a look at the components here. There we go. So the bag falls away, and we'll look at the bag more in a moment, but there is the filter. Now, the interesting thing for me is I've had several filters over the years in this style, this non-pump style. This is the first one where I actually get to see that hollow membrane inside there. Very interesting. And my guess at first glance, and I haven't tested it yet, but I'm just guessing, on a normal filter, this is covered up with solid plastic, right? And at this end, you would have an entry, a hole right here for the water to enter. It would exit at the other side. That's one point of entry that all your water is bottlenecked down to. It goes through the filter inside and comes out the other end. With this, you've got this suspended inside that bag. All those points of entry right there. Now, of course, it does bottleneck at the end here, but I'm just guessing this may speed things up because it's a lot more ways for the water to get into the filter. It's also eliminating the possibility, at least at one end, of a choke point. Let's say it gets gummed up right in one particular spot here at the end. It may have less susceptibility to clogging. Now, like I said, of course, there's still, everything has to exit through that end down there, but this is just brainstorming that I'm doing as I'm looking at this. It is interesting. And it's kind of cool to actually see the inner workings of this thing. Now, on the other end, we have the cap, and I did read in the instructions, I have to take the little safety seal off of this as if it's like a brand new soda or something, but that'll be the last time we do that. Pop it open. All right, so that can't get lost, the top cap. That's nice because it's connected. Now, what will be seen in the future, of course, is does this fail in, say, colder temps and stuff? Now, of course, on a freezing weather trip, I wouldn't bring a water filter like this, but hopefully that stays intact over the months and years. And there is our tip at the end, right there. And you can actually see right down into the filter, which is pretty interesting if you can kind of see down there to the inside of the hollow membrane. And according to Katadyn on the box here, as you can see, filters out 99.999999999, a whole bunch of nines % of stuff, as most filters of this type do claim, and we can all assume is true from my research on this type of filter. That would include your protozoas, bacteria, and other microorganisms. Now, with any hollow fiber filter like this, it's not going to filter out viruses. That's a whole nother ball game, and really you would just do chemical treatment for that. And you can see here, 1,000 liter capacity. I know from previous videos, some of you are going to freak out about that because you go, oh, the Sawyer squeeze does 1,000,000 gallons, dude. All right, and you lose it after like 900, or you just want a different filter to play with if you're like me. I get it. If you really think that Sawyer tested that thing for 1,000,000 gallons, I don't know if I believe that. I think all these numbers are just kind of thrown out there, to be honest. I think what they're saying here is this thing's good for at least 1,000 liters. And as it says right there, capacity depends on water quality. Absolutely. Depending on the type of water you're putting through this, it's going to gunk up faster over the months and years. That's understandable. 1,000 liters is actually a lot for a casual backpacker or even someone doing the Appalachian Trail. If you're drinking 2 liters a day and then cooking with another, let's just say you're using a gallon a day. That's 4 liters a day. Divided by 1,000, that's 250 days in a row that you could use this, drinking a gallon a day. That's about 8 months of continuous everyday use, more than enough to do a long-term trail like the Appalachian Trail, CDT, etc. Or for somebody like me that just does a trip now and then throughout the year, it's going to last a long time, I would imagine. And even then, when you hit 1,000 liters, I don't think Katadyn's going to come to your house and make you throw it out. If it's still working and you haven't beaten it up with really crappy water, continue to use it. But that's just my thoughts on that, and I only went on that rant because I've done other videos with filters that say numbers like that, and people really freak out. If you're truly using your water filter that much, then yeah, look into a more robust system. If you want something that fits in your pocket, keep watching. So, moving along, this system is really simple. I looked at the book, there's not a whole lot to say. They say run a test batch of water, clean water from your house through it first just to get it going. Most of these filters, a lot of times they are at their slowest the first time you use it. Once they get kind of wet and running, they'll move faster. So I'm going to run a test batch through this before we hit the trail in a few moments. And that way, when I'm outdoors and you see me using it, just know that I've already run a test batch of water through it. And going back to that cap, let's see here. Oh, there's another safety seal. Okay. It is removable, so that you could put on a cap of your choice. Let's see real quick if just another standard cap will fit on there, okay? Here's like a sport water bottle cap, or it might even come off my Sawyer squeeze. And yeah, tightens up just fine. Standard threads on this, good deal. And look, there's a really obvious look down inside at the filter. Now it does appear, okay, there's some sort of, yes, like coating over top of that there. So the water must be going around the edges. You can see that. Interesting. Moving on to the bag. Again, BPA free, 0.6 liter bag, and it even has your measurement marks on the outside here, which would be nice for rehydrating some of my meals out in the field. I could use this as a measurement vessel as well. And it has a nice feel to it. It's soft and yet kind of grippy. And, you know, very much just your standard kind of collapsible style bag. Look how much that collapses down. Not bad. Let's see how much it weighs by itself. 21.17 grams, or 0.747, 3/4 of an ounce. Let's just keep it going. The filter by itself, 1.06 ounces, or 30.12 grams. And the cap, for those of you who are super hardcore, 3.97 grams, 0.14 ounces. So there you go, gram weenies. I broke it all down for you. Back on track with the bag. Now, I don't know if in the future they're going to come out with larger bags, and that will kind of get us into the type of person that will want to take this out. As of right now, I only see it available with this small bag. So I would say for someone like me, when I'm doing solo hikes, that's when I want to be my most minimalist compared to like being with a group and a little more comfortable. This thing's going to be great for me because I just want to be minimal. I'm not going through nearly as much water as, say, hanging out with my wife and another couple, a group of friends, and I can just hit sources on the trail as I go. Now, a critical component of this is, obviously, if I do want a bunch of water to stock up at night, let's say for dinner and then the following morning, I'm going to have to manually squeeze through this compared to a gravity system. So what is the speed on this? Well, that's what we're going to find out when we take it out in the field. As a matter of fact, I think it might be time to take it out in the field. Let's go. All right, let's see how this works here. I filled it up, remember, 0.6 liters. Got a disposable water bottle here, keeping in the theme of being as light as possible. And let's see, pop it in there, start squeezing. Now, I don't have a stopwatch, but I can tell how long this takes from my camera after I do it, so I'll give it a couple squeezes, and I'm probably not being as fast as I could be because I'm talking to you and I'm a little distracted, but that right there is about it. There's my half liter, 0.6, but we'll call it a half liter for simplicity's sake. And it took about, not bad. Now this is a 1.5 liter bottle, so 3 times and I'd be full on that guy. That's some tasty water. This is actually the same water source that I used in a previous water filter test video, albeit this video is a little less dramatic than that one. Another apocalypse? You gotta be kidding me. Feel free to check that one out too if you're looking for a little more entertainment, shall we say. Let me fill this up. I'm gonna drink right out of it like they suggest as well. Again, just holding the top and unscrewing. Quick dip in the water there, screw that back on. Now, one thing I should point out, you should be careful in these situations that, you know, I'm slinging this top cap all over the place. You don't want to contaminate the top of that by dipping it into your water source, because then you're going to end up drinking unfiltered water, right? So that is something to point out with all water filters. But now that I got that done, that's good. I'm not even squeezing it, it's just more of a suction. It comes out just as fast, if not faster, than I would want to drink it. It's coming through there very easily, and just drink till your heart's content. That's pretty cool. Now, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of situations on the trail. Every hiker is different. I tend to get in the zone and I just want to go, 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 especially if I'm working towards a particular vista or something, and I pass a lot of water sources, and I say to myself, I should stop and fill up here. And then I go, I just don't feel like messing with my filter right now. Well, this right here, it's so small, I could probably have it in the side pouch of my backpack, or even in a hiking cargo pocket, whip it out, put it in the stream, drink a half liter, move on with my day. So that's pretty cool. Now, obviously, this is not a ton of water like I was saying before. For a solo trip, especially now seeing how fast it comes through, I would be comfortable bringing this by myself. I mean, you just squeeze out enough for a dehydrated meal, which a lot of times I'm doing like chicken salad or something where you don't heat up the water. Filter right out of this into my dehydrated meal pouch, and I'm good to go. A couple more squeezes, I fill my bottles up. Now, what I probably will still bring is like a platypus bag, a larger one, like a 2-liter guy, that I can keep as a dirty water reservoir. So if I'm cruising down the trail and I see this and I want to pick up more than, say, a half liter, I could fill up on 2 liters of dirty water, and just at camp later on, I could pour that into this and filter a half liter at a time. For less than 2 ounces, that's pretty cool. Now, on a group trip, I'd say I'm still leaning towards bringing my gravity system, which is a Sawyer squeeze hooked up to some tubing that goes from one 2-liter bag to another. That way I can really get a lot of water going while I'm doing other camp chores, and when I come back I got 2 whole liters, which is good for a group of people. But this thing's so light, and you got to keep in mind it also counts as a water bottle, right? I could see myself bringing this in addition to my group gravity water filter system. So I still have that in my pack for large quantities of water at camp, but then when I'm on the trail I can just kind of grab and go as I see fit. And I like that when it's empty, it really does collapse down super small. Like I said, you can tuck that in a pocket really quick. Speaking of that larger gravity system, there's something I want to point out on here. Since the filter membrane is separate from the bag, there's absolutely no reason that Katadyn, or maybe even a third party, might come out with a wide mouth collapsible bottle like this that will work with this in the future. Because what I also tested was that, whoop, almost lost my cap already, which is now contaminated. I'll rinse that off. But another thing I tested was those threads on there. This is the tubing to my gravity system that I use with a Sawyer squeeze. This tube with the cap adapter there fits perfectly onto the end of the Katadyn BeFree, which means hook the other end up to a larger 2-liter bag or just right into a pot or an Nalgene, and you got yourself a gravity system. Now I know what you're saying. I'm saying the same thing in my head right now. A half-liter gravity system, what's the point? Just squeeze it. But going back to what I was just saying, hey Katadyn, or any third-party vendor out there, you can totally open up the demo on this to an even larger group if you come out with like a 1-liter or a 2-liter bag for this. Particularly if there was room for a little hole on the end where I could hang this from a tree, from a carabiner or something. Picture a 2-liter bag up there, gravity does its thing. You can see it is flying through here, and I am not putting any pressure whatsoever on it. You got yourself a gravity system right there. You just need a larger bag. So hopefully that's something that's coming out in the future. And then this will be all I'm bringing on group trips as well as solo trips. Pretty cool. Now, when it comes to cleaning these, you can back flush it, which basically means you put this under a faucet and just run water right through it. Or, as they mentioned on the box, I could go like this and just swish it around in the water and clean off any debris, because unlike those other systems, the whole filter is exposed right there. So all that surface area is available to be swished off. Pretty nice. And then they also say, simply fill it up and just swish it around in there, and you'll probably knock some debris off as well. So I know I said earlier, after we came out in the woods here, I'd go back to the table for kind of a final thoughts and wrap up, but I think we might as well do it here. I mean, that pretty much covers all the features, I do believe. This is a very simple system, and I like that. From what I can tell so far, it has a lot of promise, and I'm looking forward to taking it on future trips. Now, of course, time will tell how often this thing needs to be back flushed, although it seems pretty easy to do, and at what point is it just hooked up to the point where you need a new one. Now, they say 1,000 liters, which I went over before, I think is pretty decent. My experience with other filters like this is take care of it after each trip, and less stuff will dry up and get screwed up in there, especially if you don't go on trips that often. You only go like once a year, and you don't bother back flushing this after your trip, and sediment gets hardened up in there and all that stuff. So if you take care of it, I would imagine you get a lot of use out of this thing. So there you have it, the Katadyn BeFree water filter. Until next time, I'm Syntax77. Have fun out there.